Okie dokie. Mr. T Mario.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
My question is about what your plans are for next map. This map's priority has kind of been around adventure and adventure loot, and I was wondering how you see the start or your focus next map. What you see that focus being on.
So, for map number 4, we've got a lot of things that we're going to be touching up on. Um,
hmm
there's not going to be like, of course, this map was like majority focused around adventures, marauders, and whatnot. Next map, we're hoping to expand on and like make tweaks to a bunch of various systems, such as like realms, enchanting, and just things like that, which need some attention.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, did you have anything specific in mind that you're looking forward to, or looking, or you like
Well,
something you believe should be changed, or?
yeah. Well, there's a couple things. Definitely realms. I think need to have a look at. There are some realms that are very much bare bones, bountiful. Is like a joke in terms of
Mhm.
how much it offers. Um, and I think there's other things, other loot tables, the Koth loot table, the treasure loot table that have been put aside with the focus on adventure. It'd be great to take a look at those and get those to be feeling more valuable than they currently are. But yeah, that's about it.
Yep, yeah, we do have loot tables on our mind as well in terms of looking into seeing what we are able to change. But yeah,
All right, thank you.
all right, thank you, thank you. Mr. Rustlord.
All right, very quick question. Will we be expecting any dungeons or anything on that PvP like not like I guess mini game, but like mode?
I hate to just stay straight up no, but not for map number 4, probably.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okie dokie. Got the random.
Hello.
Hello.
So one question. Do you plan on changing the XP to trophy ratio for specific things like like nodes to make fuel and for fishing? So the for the fuel thing, it's because everybody's making fuel on all islands right now, which is a bit stupid. And for the fishing thing, it's because when you have, let's say, glow squid unlocked, you end up fishing dolphins half the time, or like more than half the time. So and that's like checkpoint nerfed. So it's bad trophies, and so you shouldn't fish on your island. So do you plan to like change the XP trophy for those two skills because you're just not allowed to do them right now?
So the core like feature of this trophy system we currently have is that Island EXP is directly related to the amount of trophies you get. If we do make any changes like that where because you're mining fuel you don't get trophies or just like changing the amount of trophies from it, then that's just gonna throw off the skew of like how much trophies are being earned or whatnot.
No,
Like
the issue. Sorry.
it could
Yeah,
be a
no, my
case of
issue
like
is.
we expand and increase the amount of XP you get from like certain fuel nodes, certain fishing, whatnot.
No. My issue is not the amount of like the XP to trophy ratio for the fuel nodes. It's that they get checkpoint nerfed. Like for example, you're making fuel, you have to mine coal, copper, fuel, right?
Mhm.
And that gets nerfed by the checkpoint scaling. So that means
Yep.
that it's just terrible for trophies as the map goes on, right?
Yep. And unfortunately, that's just the way the system is designed at the moment, where
Okay, so
like those Island EXP numbers don't change with the checkpoints, and of course, they become less valuable in terms of Island EXP when you have more valuable things you can be grinding for trophy points.
yeah, but you're not really grinding those. I'm asking if like you plan to make an exemption for these two things, like these two cases. You know?
I'd say not at the moment, but it is something that like I understand the concerns. I understand like the roadblock that kind of puts you in if you're trying to just like fully maximize your efficiency. Like I understand those concerns. I don't think we're quite. I can't really say what the stage is and like what sort of stance we have on that right now, but it's something that we are aware of that is like a concern, I guess. You know,
Okay. Yeah, and
but it's
next question is will the focus on next map for trophies also be mainly farming? Like
I can't give like specifics on like what the main trophy focus is going to be for next map. Just because like
Okay.
of course there's like a small amount of people here, and that would like if I say for example XYZ is going to be the best thing for trophy farming, then that of course is mainly going to be heard by you guys. So we'll get more information out as soon as we can do like a public post. But as of right now, I can't go into specifics on what specific trophy things are going to be happening next map.
Right.
Okay.
That's it.
Alrighty. Mr. Ritzy.
Yo. So I know this was mentioned at the beginning of this map as something that was like being looked into, and I just wanted to know if for map 4 we would see more like special sets / set bonuses / audits to Dwarf and Fairy.
Audits to Dwarf and Fairy, yes. Specialty armor sets, I know in the previous versions of Sky we've had like Fey Noble sets and whatnot. I don't know for sure that we'll be implementing something similar to that, but it's definitely something on our mind on like how we can kind of change the scope of armor set attributes, special sets, and whatnot. But definitely changes to Dwarf and Fairy sets are going to be coming next map.
Okay. My biggest issue, which I was wondering if y'all were like looking into a fix for this relatively like soon, if it was this map or maybe next, was like there's just like one meta for PvP and honestly PvE as well. And there's no like diversity with sets or anything like that. It's kind of just if you do this X thing, you're just the best, right? Like there's not really a counterplay to it. And I was curious if you are going to be like adding more diverse ways to play both PvP and PvE.
I think in most games you're always going to have some sort of like the best meta at the time, at least, where everyone uses this strat because it's the best thing that people know how to do. Of course, in the current state of Sky, like there is like everyone uses Dwarf because it's just simply the best. It's not something where I think we can have like that many different options where one's better than the other right now, or realize like where like multiple are good and multiple are metas, because of course that would require like just a lot more items. But definitely like I guess there's not really an easy way where we can make it so Dwarf and Fairy are completely balanced and like you can either use one or the other and you have the same advantages. There's always going to be one is going to be better than the other, at least in the eyes of PvPers and whatnot. But yes,
It's more about okay, yeah. It was more about like just adding more ways to play because like for both PvE and PvP, it's just Dwarf, right? Like you just maximize your damage reduction, and it just kind of is the universal best. And adding more ways for people to play the game, whether they want to be a PvE or a PvP or whatever, it would just be something really cool. So that was my only question.
Yeah, no, definitely something that like increasing that kind of scope and like what players can do and like the sort of like creativity in building your sets is definitely something we want to be a thing. It's just that it is not just like an easy just like one step forward and that happens, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Alrighty. Where's not gonna get you off the stage. What key is that? I think just not disconnect.
I'm special. You can just leave me here.
Okay, I'll disconnect you. I think that kicks you from the Q&A, but unlucky. Alrighty, epic. And I am gonna step away, but I'm listening. But yeah.
All right, hello. I have a number of hopefully quick things, so I'll just go through them one at a time. First thing with battle royales, obviously I know it took a while to implement them, and they were put in with just the one mode and the rotating items and those couple of loot boxes. But already, I don't think a BR has started in the past week. Some of that is because it's end of map, but even a couple of weeks ago, it was like everyone was having to spam chat in order for a BR to start. Do you see any solution to that? I'm sure BR updates are not your highest priority, but have you guys noticed that, and do you have any plan to address it?
I know.
I definitely noticed it.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
I just said that.
I thought you were gone.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to take this, you can. But
Sure. Yeah. I've definitely noticed it. I have seen some people, even you, doing some chat spam trying to get people to join. I think there's a variety of factors which go into battle royales dying out, and as I'm sure you know, in the previous Sky, it's always been a case of like towards the end of the map, battle royale just stops being desirable. People just don't play it, and then it gets to be kind of dead towards the end of the map. Which, if there's a way we could make that, is like whatever we can do to make that not happen, I'd love to. But it's not just a case of just like setting it to 0 players, because then we have like setting there to be no player requirement, because then of course you still get loot from those and everything. So I'd say
Right. Yeah, I
for
know a
start of the
couple.
world.
Just to give a couple of ideas super quick, just off the top of my head, I know on other servers, and I think even on Sky in the past, it was like if a BR didn't start, then the next one would have a point multiplier. So that
Yeah.
kind of thing would be one option. I think also you could lower the requirement a bit from 15. I think it used to be 12. I don't know how many games are getting between 12 and 15 right now. The other option that comes to mind is just making them less frequent, but the rewards are scaled up. So it feels more worthwhile to, once every 3 or 4 hours, take a break to go do BR rather than having to do it every hour.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a mix of those. Like, of course, taking a look at the loot. I don't know that we're going to be making any loot changes before the start of map number 4. I'll see if we can, but it's just a combination of the loot, the amount of players required to start, and then also just like eventually when we expand into different battle royale game modes, which is something we want to do. Um, the base battle royale, of course, won't be starting every hour. It'll be like battle royale, then next hour, Sky Wars, for example, Bed Wars, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, no, as long as that's sort of on your mind, that's good. Next thing, I know this was a lot of these things were in the suggestion threads, but there wasn't really a conclusive end to them, so that's why I'm bringing them up. Nether Quartz nodes, I know there was a big discussion because, like, I personally noticed Nether Quartz nodes are worth even less than Obsidian nodes, for example. And considering how endgame and how rare they are, I feel like that's kind of problematic. I know in the past they were really valuable for a couple reasons. One was they could drop the Treasure 5 things, and then thinking way back, it was because Nether fuel was a lot more important, and you could craft the refined quartz into the Nether bars. So I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about potential implementations of like some other Nether quartz mechanic to make them more valuable.
Either some sort of new mechanic for nether quartz or like potentially like replacing those with like netherite to like kind of bring back that option of like crafting nether gear and then also using it for nether fuel as well, just replacing the nether quartz with like netherite scrap, whatnot. Something along the lines of that potentially, but we do know that like nether quartz nodes don't really have the best or the most usages right now.
Mm-hmm. All
And
right.
of course, it's something like this late in the map. It's not something that we're, of course, going to be changing for this map. But for next map, ideally before Nether Quartz is released, we'll see what sort of update or changes we can make to those. But yeah, that is something we are aware of.
Good. I'll just bring this up super fast because I made a couple threads about it and I didn't see it get any admin attention, but I might have just missed that. There are some enchants, both vanilla enchants and custom enchants, that are literally completely useless for especially for certain tiers. So like Captain's Gift, Nether. Obviously, there's no captains in Abyss. Things like the Sanctuary Shield for Nether. There's no projectiles in Abyss. Things like Respiration and Blast Protection, just absolutely no use in any context. So there's a thread about that, just making sure that's getting addressed at some point.
Yeah, that is something we've seen. Yes.
Okay. Next thing, rank kits. I know there was a suggestion thread about that, and there was some discussion. So I'm curious if you have any plans to buff rank kits for Start of the World, or if that would be some sort of mid-map thing, or just what kind of things you think could be changed with rank kits to make them a bit more relevant.
Not something that we're going to be changing for at least the start of map number 4.
Okay. Two more things. Go through it quick. One thing I noticed I know Nether has like combat gems and PvE gems. I think the other tiers have that as well, but it's a lot more rare. A lot of gems that drop in the combat gems loot table are strictly PvE gems. They're things like Arcane Blast. They're things like Marauder's Edge. So I was just curious if that is intentional and if there's a reason for that, or if that was just an oversight.
It is intentional because combat isn't necessarily PvP. Combat is supposed to be like a mix of PvP and PvE.
So what is PvE? What's the difference? Is it just the fact that you can't get combat gems in PvE, or you can't get like PvP gems in PvE, but combat is everything?
So there's 3 tiers. I don't think we necessarily have like a tier of PvP right now, but there's combat, which is PvP and PvE combined, and then there's PvE, which is just PvE gems.
Okay. I definitely think based on, and this can be a suggestion thread, but I definitely think based on especially the rates of some PvP gems that have been dropping in Nether, I think it would make a lot more sense for combat to be PvP, and that way each gem is exclusively in one category. Or the rates of the drop rates could just be adjusted. But last thing, very last thing. This, I think someone else brought this up about treasure. Definitely after playing map 1, and I felt like treasure was in a really good place. Obviously, there were a couple of really strong treasure items, I'll just say, plus Radius pickaxe. But I definitely miss the fact that treasure was a really integral part of the game, because it really incentivized and rewarded grinding different island skills. Because, for example, we had a player who loved to mine, and he would just mine for hours and hours and hours. And this was before and after we got the Radius pick. But I really enjoyed that aspect of, like, that is a super viable strategy to just hardcore grind these manual island things for the treasure. And I don't know exactly. I think probably one reason why treasure is not so relevant is because manually grinding certain things is just like affirmatively bad, because the XP to trophy ratios are bad. So like you would never want to manually mine on a main island because the ratios are just too bad. And then I think some of it is just the overall loot has been changed a little bit. So I was just curious if you care about changing treasure, and if so, if there's any plans and what those are.
There's definitely going to be changes to the trophy. I always mix up trophy with treasure. I'm sorry. With the treasure drop chances for fishing, those are definitely going to be happening for map number 4. As for like the current meta, of course, of just like wanting to do primarily farming and not really putting too much time or effort into slaying or mining, at the end of the day, that's an island's choice on what they want to do. If they want to maximize on trophies and they don't want to get like swords or pickaxes for mining and slaying, that's up to them. We are going to be like looking at all the skills in terms of like how much they sell for, how much island EXP they give and whatnot, and seeing what we need to tweak from there. Because I think in terms of, especially in terms of like money, this map, fishing, of course, is huge overall number 1 meta, but things like slaying and farming were nerfed a bit too much. So those sorts of things are going to be looked at in terms of like how much money they sell for, what their impact on the economy is, and that can hopefully bring more players to be grinding those sorts of avenues. If it has to be on all islands, it has to be on all islands. But that will hopefully bring more players to grinding treasures there. And then as for like the treasure loot, it's something I'd like to look at before map 4 if we can, but there is a lot of other more pressing treasure loot tables, such as like clue scrolls, for example, which is one that we're really looking to have audited and changed before map number 4.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that reminds me of one last thing. Godly clue scrolls for Abyss tier items. A separate tier of clue scroll.
Not for start of the world, of course, because Abyss isn't start of the world, but potentially mid map number 4. We'll see if we can add those. But
All right.
yes.
Good deal. Thank you.
Alrighty, good points, and yeah, thank you. Who we got next? We got Mr. Shadow. He's slashing some shadows.
Hola. Are we going to be seeing Bed Wars and Sky Wars for season 4, or just Sky Wars?
I can't confirm when or if those are going to be released during season 4. I'd love to get them out during season 4, but if other priorities come up and there's just not something we're able to get to, then that's just how it's going to be. But yeah, so I can't confirm. I'm not going to confirm that, but it's something that we want to ideally get both. The way I understand it from the dev, if Sky Wars is fully implemented, Bed Wars is essentially just like the exact same as Sky Wars, so they would be like one in each other, the same, you know.
Alright. And is Koth gonna be daily and keep in Venery? Because that'll bring a lot of players to Koth.
Not something we fully confirmed yet.
Alrighty. That's all.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thanks.
Alrighty, Mr. T Mario again.
Hello, it's me again.
Hello.
So a few more questions.
Mhm.
Some simple ones to start is the the Scholar enchant is a PvE enchant that's meant to give vanilla XP. I don't think it scales with the tier of the Marauder mob. I don't know if that's known, but I was getting like 1k XP from Abyss mobs, which is obviously just laughable. So it'd be great if that could be balanced to feel like something you maybe choose over Marauder's Edge, or if you don't have Judgment or something early on. I think that would make it feel somewhat relevant if it's scaled with what kind of Marauder mob you were killing. Beyond that, I think in my experience, I might have just been very unlucky, but I opened a lot of combat nether gems, and it felt like some of the new enchants that were added, some of them weren't in the loot table, but some of them were. It seems very weird, but something like Iron Will and Enrage I never saw in the combat gems, but Curse and Death's Touch, which were new gems also, I got like several times. I think that's just something that might need to be looked at to make sure they're actually in there. And then after that, the Nightmare boss, which was added, is pretty fun. It also is pretty scary, and I think it's meant to be made that way because you give people items that will keep them having their stuff if they die. But I think maybe it's just a little bit too strong. Some of it might need to be tweaked or looked at, but that's very much a late game thing. I don't know. It seems a little bit powerful in my opinion, but maybe I'm just skill issued. We'll see.
Yeah, it is meant to be the end game boss. I know there's been some like notes about like the current loot table of the Nightmare, which I mean, going into map number 4, once we get to that stage, we'll see what sort of tweaks we want to make. But yeah, I'd say difficulty of the Nightmare. It's supposed to be difficult. I know it might. If it is a bit too overtuned right now, then we'll see going into map number 4 if we need to make any changes. But not something I would expect. Of course, like start of the world announcement. Drop rates for enchantments. I will personally see if I can take a look into those and see what might be going on there because I have an idea, but I need to just talk with the dev and see what's going on there for sure. And then the Scholar enchantment. I think I know what's going to happen with that enchant. I can't really say what, but we are aware. Yes.
Okay. And one last question. I wanted to see, or in my experience, there's kind of an all or nothing with PvP in that you either risk your set or you just don't PvP at all. Abyss, I feel, was quite nice because it was a mostly neutral area, and that meant that PvP could be done without risking everything. And I was just kind of hoping that there would be some more events or just some more uses for these PvP sets and just armor sets in general outside of the adventure. Because at the moment, it's literally just Koth, and that happens like a few times a map, right? Because it's once a week. I was just wondering if you have plans for more things that you would actually bring your own set to, rather than like Battle Royale, where it's you loot it in that event.
That is something that we would like to expand on in map number 4. I can't say
Right.
what we're like gonna be like releasing with, but definitely, if not released with, then certainly during map number 4 there is going to be at least one new like PvP type of place that you can go.
All right. Awesome.
No, not Mob
Thank
Arena. It's not PvP. That's PvE.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Alrighty. Thank you. Alrighty. No requests. Wow. No one else has any questions? Anybody else? I mean, maybe someone who doesn't want to join the voice chat. Any questions in chat, maybe? Or more specifically, I guess, anything you guys are specifically looking or thinking should be changed for map number 4 that you kind of want to just like bring to our attention? Like, And yeah, we got some hand raising, and yeah. And you guys say you guys make mentioning these things in chat. I'm not gonna reply to them, but I'm gonna make sure that we are aware of them. Yeah, Mr. Random, welcome up.
Okay, so my question is like this is not really like a suggestion or anything. It's more like what is your general opinion on like alt islands and like their prevalence in the current meta?
They're always gonna be a thing. Even back in Old Sky, you got to a point where you maxed out your spawners on your main island. You just had an alt island. Like, it's not something that
Yeah.
we are easily able to like prevent. I know right
No,
now the current like meta like encourages them almost, but yeah, at the end of the day, if there's any sort of limit on anything on the island, then players are just going to use alt islands regardless of like what that limit is. Like, unless islands are completely unlimited, there's no fish out, there's no spawner cap, there's no island EXP cap, then players are always going to get to a point where they just have an alt island going.
Yeah, no, my question is more like, do you plan to curb their relevance or no? Like,
If it was an easy thing we could try to curb, then I'd say we'll see what we can do. But right now, it's not something that we have like on the top of our priority.
all right.
But yeah, it is something that we are aware of. Okay, anything else? No, I guess not. Mr. Curting?
Hello. I've got a question. It's not really server related. It's more to do with community. We used to have the Cosmic Sky internet article where people could make content, submit it. Is there a chance we could have that come back at some point so it rewards more community content being made on media platforms?
At some point, potentially, I'd love to do something like that. It's just the entire team has like a lot of other stuff that we're working on in terms of like going into map number 4 and everything. Whenever we have a good opportunity where we can start introducing something like that, then I'd love to do it, but it's just not, of course, something that we're looking to do at the current moment.
Yeah, that's all the questions I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rattle.
Hello. Are we gonna get any like leveling systems like A upgrades, like venture levels, anything of that sort in the near future?
Depends on what you mean by near future. I wouldn't expect anything like that for map number 4, but definitely like I would love to get back to the system of like having adventure levels because I know how like nice it was to like see those levels progressing as you were going to the adventure. So it's definitely something I'd love to do one day. It's just of course not something that we're going to be having for map number 4.
And then what about alliance upgrades? Yeah, alliance upgrades.
Yeah. I wish I could look back and see what the old alliance upgrades were, but that is something.
There's a good post about it currently that is pretty good traction on it.
Yeah, it's just getting to a point where we can have those sorts of things, like making sure like the alliance upgrades are balanced. There's like actual uses for them, not just like exact copies of what other upgrades are going to be or currently are. Like, oh, you just get more island EXP. Oh, you just get more marauder damage, whatnot. Like any sort of like unique sort of upgrades that we can do with that system would be like the first step in terms of like trying to make those. So definitely like in the future, I'd love to do something like that. But of course, this is like not for map number 4.
And then I guess my final question is, Rob talked about a while ago that he wanted to do something like skins, but not exactly skins. Do we have any update on that in the near future? Like the upcoming season, potentially?
We have looked into like the routes to go to doing that.
Okay. So like 2 maps, 1 map, 7, like anything?
7 maps. Just
Awesome,
because you said
thank
that
you.
specific number. Yep.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Yeah. That's not a promise. It's not actually going to be 7 maps, but just we'll see what we can do. Oh, there's the move to audience button. Boop. They found it. Alrighty, Mr. GCam. You are server muted. There you go.
Thank you, thank you. I was just wondering for map 4 if there's any. I don't see like any post or anything about it, but like, what are like the main new ideas, concepts, or content that you guys have coming with map 4, or is there like anything grind progression wise, island progression?
We haven't done like an official post releasing specifics and whatnot yet. There's just a few things we kind of touched on this call, like I can't really fully recall and go over everything we've talked about. But after this Q&A is over, I don't know if you've missed the beginning of it or whatnot, but Duel will have like a video post of what all was talked about here. But
Alright.
yeah, there's just a few things, but there's no official post.
All right. And then is there any plans for any expansion with the? I know recently were added in the PvE gems, the PvP gems, the island gems. They kind of seem random, and then you just got like the majority of gems all being just normal gems. Is there any plan to expand on that or grow on that, or is that just kind of in the background content wise?
What do you mean they're all just like normal gems?
A gem that doesn't have any PvE, PvP, or island name to it. So when you open it, it could be
Oh.
any of them.
And you're asking if we have any plans for those gems, or?
Yeah, if like, let's say an adventure grinder goes into adventure, grinds out a few gems, they just get normal gems right now. Is there a plan to expand that so maybe they could be specific gems, island gems, PvE gems, PvP gems? A lot of people would be focused on specific gems, and maybe that would help with the gems, and then also when there are more enchants in the game, individuals wouldn't have like a lesser chance of getting the gems they would want, if that makes sense. Like let's say we doubled the amount of gems in the game, but 1/3 the amount of gems possible to open from a specific gem.
That is really like a loot table question, which would be more of Tater's realm. I'd say don't expect any change like that for map number 4, but definitely that's something that has crossed our minds. Like that's like the main thing of like making those enchant specific gems. So like if you get a PvP gem or you get a PvE gem, then that gem will ideally sell for more because people who are specifically trying to get PvE enchants won't have quite much as like an RNG chance to get a PvE gem if they were opening a generic gem or a PvE specific gem, you know?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's
I think they
I'll make a
are.
note and see if Tater wants to do anything with those.
Yeah,
But
I think they're
yeah.
only in the pay to win right now, where any of the loot boxes and stuff like that's the only way you can get those types of gems. I haven't been able to see any in like adventure and whatnot. I didn't know if they're planning on being added in or just ignored.
Well, we definitely do have them in the Abyss adventure, I know for sure. But
Yeah.
other adventures, other adventures we'll see what we'll see what we can do. But yeah.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty. Shadow again. Hello, hello.
I got some things. Pets. Farmer Bob and Fisherman Pet. Those are
Yes.
completely and utterly useless. They're
Correct.
getting a buff.
They are pretty useless right now, yeah.
Kind of throwaway items. Same with is there gonna be fishing gear and mining gear enchants? Possibly.
Not for Start of the World. We'll see what we can do for the rest of this map. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like being able to expand the skills to have more enchants is something that we'd love to do. I know we recently got rid of a lot of the mining ones because they just weren't necessarily valuable gems. They weren't really used gems, and I think that's because a multitude of reasons. But it is something we're wanting to expand on in the future. Yes.
The BR minigame in-game loot table. Getting random gems that are completely useless and getting level 1s kind of abysmal. And smite and whatnot.
Just sounds like a little bit of a skill issue, but that is something we're also that is something that we've also got like on our radar of like
Yeah.
what we can potentially change.
Yeah, and masks being perm locked. So are they going to be like a physical item that we can possibly see in season 4?
Not for season 4, no.
No. Lucky Leprechaun? Huh? For slots?
What?
Lucky Leprechaun mask, like a 3 or 4 or 5% chance to save a slot when spinning.
That would be more of a suggestion, not a question.
Alrighty. Well, that's all I can think of.
Alrighty.
Uh,
Thank you, thank you.
Wait.
Got the random back up, and feel free, anyone else, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask away.
Okay, so you made some changes to the ping base layer. Do you plan to make any similar changes to farming?
I'm not
Is-
entirely sure what the capability of the dev is to like do that for farming as well. I know Slayer had like a lot of specific changes that were done to like the way that the player visually sees the mob die. So because of course farming is like breaking the crop very fast, it is I'd imagine a lot more difficult for that to be tweaked, but I could see what I could try to have the dev look into and see what we can do with that.
Mhm. Okay. And I know there's been like you've said that there'll be changes to like clue scroll root table, or at least someone from the admin team said that. Will there also be a change to the mechanic of clue scrolls, like of how like go through them, or no?
I don't know. You there?
Hmm?
Maybe, maybe not. It's a lot less of a
Okay.
priority than, of course, just like the clue scroll loot table. But we'll see what we've got in store. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. No.
Alrighty. Well, thank you. Got QTC Bass. Hello.
Yo. Do you guys have any plans to increase the player count for next map?
Well, we're not gonna do like a botnet if that's what you're asking.
No,
like,
like are
increasing players
YouTubers
is-
playing? Are you guys doing like any
Okay.
advertising or?
Not really something I can delve too much into, but that's more of like a question for Rob, I'd say.
Because like, I think at like when you guys first did the first ever roadmap or something, you guys said that you guys were gonna do like a big YouTuber or getting more YouTubers involved.
Definitely something we'd love to do, and I think we took a really big step in the right direction for this map in terms of like getting the adventures in a good spot, getting treasure in a better spot. So I wouldn't say no for sure for like a big YouTuber map one day. I don't know for sure that it's going to be map number 4. Is what I'll say.
All right. That's all.
All right. Very loud, Tater. You need to be unmuted. Okay, I'll mute him for now. Mr. Rattleshake.
I also was gonna talk about advertising, but I was gonna more talk about in the inside of the actual server. I always enjoyed like when it's down and then there was like little bits of like leaks and like snippets and like some more of that like hidden in general. Like can we get some more of that just to build up a little bit more hype inside of the people that will actually log on and potentially play? Yes.
As soon as I like have something that's like leak worthy, we do have a brand new leaks and giveaways channel. So make sure that you have the Cosmic Sky updates role so that
I have
we can
that.
give you a ping if there's any leaks. But yeah, as soon as there's like proper leak worthy stuff and not just like a lot of like back end minor tweaks in preparation for the big leak worthy stuff. As soon as there is, we'll see what we can post, okay?
Yeah, it's just rough because we want more people to come back that have played the server in the past, and then it's just
know.
there's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that leaks really do like a substantial amount in terms of bringing people back, but of course, like
No,
building
it
up that
drums
hype
up
is something that I
attention.
understand the importance of. Yeah.
It drums up the attention, right? It makes people
Mhm.
think.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was all.
Alrighty. See, no hands raised. Any other chat questions? Several people are typing. No. Alrighty, get a hand raised. But yeah, if you guys have any questions you want to put in chat, feel free to put those in, and I'll take a look after this next person. But we got ABC Man.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
My question, can you give any like information on what your plans are for like clue scrolls, like for the rework you guys are gonna do on those? Is it just gonna be loot based, or is there gonna be like some other like island benefits that you could get from it?
The first priority we're doing with Clue Scrolls is, of course, changing the loot that you can get from them. From there, anything else that we do is still a little bit up in the air right now because our main priority is just getting the loot in a good spot.
Okay. And then is that the
So,
same thing for like the attribute or the fishing thing, whatever you get, that stuff? Can't remember what it's called. The artifacts. That's what I was looking for. Is that table just getting reworked as well?
That table is just the exact adventure loot table. So that one,
Oh, okay.
yeah, not really planning on tweaking that.
All right. That's all I got.
Alrighty. Chat questions. Mob Arena when? Mob Arena not in map 4. Other boss changes for next map. Potentially boss changes for next map. Potentially. And yeah, it really depends. You don't see many people killing bosses early game or really at all because of course there's just not a lot of competitive people on the server right now. There is like of course like the main one or two alliances which do go chaotic, which do competitive PvP, which do the bosses of course, but a normal player's island like just isn't comfortable going into chaotic and killing the bosses because of course they're risking their set when you have like these top alliance big dogs who are always wait, isn't that's like an actual alliance name? Okay, these top alliances who are actually in there grinding and killing these mobs and bosses, which just really deters those players. If there's a solution for one day, I'd love to do some tweaks with that. But yeah, we'll we will see. Is fishing going to be the main money maker next map? If so, do you know how boring it is to fish? We will have changes to fishing coming. That's what I'll say to that. Shadow, if the Koth suggestion you're talking about is the one where it's like daily and keep inventory, yes, we have seen that. Neutral PvP areas, yep, we will we'll see what we can do TM, but I wouldn't expect like big changes for like the start of the map number 4. Alrighty, gonna be closing the we're gonna be closing out the Q&A a little bit here, but we still got some more people. Oh, random, you closed your hand. I was about to bring you up. But yeah.
Oh, I heard you say closing the Q&A, so I stopped.
Yeah, and not quite. Yeah, it's gonna be closing soon, so we're gonna wrap up the final questions since it's looking to be dying down right now.
Yeah. So, my question was, do you ever plan to like change the way the adventure maps look?
Like their builds?
Yeah. demonic
Eventually,
build.
yeah. I mean, we just got these new builds, I think, for map number 2. Because of course there was like the original build, map number 1. We made it into these like retextured, repainted builds in map number 2. Of course, these have just been the same for map number 3. If we follow in the same direction as the previous guy did, we typically have new adventure maps around every 5 maps. So these maps aren't going to be going anywhere for now, but we do make little changes here and there every once in a while. But not like huge major changes, of course.
Yeah. No, because my idea has been that you should do like bigger maps and all 4 corners should be KO, because then like you can have if you want to search for a clear KO, you would have to go to all 4 corners to find them. It's just a pain. So more like average people would be able to go KO more safely.
I mean,
That's just a
potentially.
suggestion.
I mean, I know in the past we've had like KO corners. We have it in the Abyss, but as of right now, like I guess
but
that would
that's
just be a lot
one
different.
KO corner, right? I'm saying like all 4 corners are KO.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I wouldn't say no for like the far future, but definitely not for map number 2 or number 4. Ugh, my brain.
Okay. Yeah, and are there any plans to
Oh.
change like the mechanics around island farming?
You're talking about just like
island
farming
grinding
crops?
in general? Island grinding, like mining, Slayer, and farming.
What sort of changes are you thinking of?
Like just changing around the meta a bit. I don't know, remove TP pads from the game, whatever.
Even if we remove TP pads from the game, players still will find a way to do that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but like
So,
I don't
I
know,
mean-
make certain enchants better or whatever.
I mean, we'll see. At the end of the day, players are always going to find the most efficient way to farm, which right now can be whatever your current islands build is. But yeah, there's always going to be a meta, and there's always going to be the best way to do things, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm saying like the meta should be something different from holding down 2 buttons, or you should just have to move your mouse every once in a while, something like that. You know?
Yeah, but like without making like extreme changes, like everything, that's not really something like, especially for farming, that really can be changed. I'd say.
Yeah, no,
But yeah.
I don't know. I'm just wondering if that's ever going to be on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I again don't want to say no for like the far future, but it is something that like, if there was a way to just completely get rid of those specific builds that I think we both know which they are, then I'd love to do that because I hate that style of grinding. I hate seeing it.
Yeah,
There
no,
should be like a fun, enjoying way to grind, but yeah.
I wrote this in like a suggestion post somewhere, but if you add like Fireball and Shatter, that would change the mining meta, definitely. Like the manual mining meta.
You mean Powerball?
Yeah, Powerball. Yeah.
I mean, potentially. Like, at the end of the day, people could still like. It's just hard because, like, again, the meta is still always going to be whatever's the easiest thing players can do. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Anything
guess.
else?
Nope.
Alrighty. Yeah, I saw some other questions. TNT asked if we're looking to do any realm changes, loot, how they work, additional realms. Not additional realms. We're gonna see what sort of realm changes we can do. I think I mentioned this earlier because of course realms are pretty bland right now. Loot does kind of a little bit go hand in hand with that. We'll see what sort of loot changes we want to do, but I can't promise loot changes for sure, except for like dwarf and fairy here. Definitely, we're gonna be tweaking their attributes and whatnot. More signs and adventure, we will see. Add more methods to slow down people in adventure so they can't run away continuously without an issue. Practically impossible to die with a 5-minute chaotic time if you're not limbless. That's something we are aware of, Xavier, too. But of course, it's just tricky to do that sort of movement slowing because it works both ways. Let's see. Manual mining prisons, E-Pearls back to Fairy, Banjo Assault. Why aren't you gonna mention favors, Theo? Come on, I was about to get through this and I have to say, I don't need to say that word. Wow. But yeah, for cosmic favors, of course, members of Islands of Authority on the day that, or as soon as rep is given out, will also get a cosmic favor point. With these cosmic favor points, you're going to be able to purchase a buff for the next map. The way these buffs are going to work is going to be different from what you would expect on like the old prisons, like warden attribute system. But yeah, that's really all the detail I can really go into for right now. But yeah. Yeah, there will be some showcase expanders being available when we start Carnage, but yeah. And no, you won't be using favors this map, Team Mario. They're going to be used at the start of next map. No, we're not going to get Abyssal Wrath as a boss enchant right now. You're not getting a maze event, TNT. Unlucky. But yeah, anyone, if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in chat now while we kind of get this last 7 minutes here. Bed Wars and Sky Wars as soon as we can, wrong, but just not the highest priority. Can't answer that, Stevie. You're gonna have to wait for some more information. Rotten Decay for Abyss Boss. Not planning on that. Tombstone? Really? No, thank you. Water Adventure with Tridents. That would be cool. That would be tricky, but cool. Grounded. Where's what's it called? Pummel. Yeah, we need Pummel back. Rocket Boots. No Rattle. It really depends on 95 logic, because there's just a lot of factors that go into that, but yeah. Health pots, not really planning on having any change to the health pots next map. Yep, no totem's been dying. No Sumo Realm, no Chad sunglasses, no Gears 5. Spleef minigame, come on man, Squid Games minigame. That'd be fun. Getting Cosmic Client back at all? Probably not. There's a lot that goes into making your own client and whatnot. Is Faye coming back? Probably Faye itself isn't coming back wrong, but we want to do something with special sets eventually. No new pets, no caverns right now for map number 4. And yeah. Any extra help for new players? That's a good one. Yes, we are going to have an updated tutorial with some new steps to kind of introduce automation a bit more to new players. Also, maybe some automation changes going along with it. You know, no one asked about that. No tutorial island, Shadow. No trinkets. I'd love to do band panel, but not really an easy thing to do. Any new island skills? Not for Start of the World. Apple trees. Xavier, you should check again, see if you're able to use titles. We did do a change recently to hopefully fix something like that. New season Jolt is starting on February 7th. The map closes on February 2nd, this upcoming Sunday. Beta titles were already given out. If you didn't get your beta title, then that is unfortunate, because we went through the Discord and gave it to everyone who was active in the Discord and was in the beta based off Discord. Any changes which help smaller teams or solos? What sort of changes would you be looking for there? Island loader is not really something that not an easy task. Not gonna happen for map 4. So the spawners aren't going to be changing. Tactiles, crossbow meta, crossbow beta next map. No, early game automation entirely different versus what we had this map. Automation is having some things change with it. Can we get End Crystal Obsidian meta? No. Catch mechanic next map. We will see. You can just arrange a player can AFK a spawner. Maybe. Well, we'll see. I don't know because of course it's custom spawners we have on Sky, but I know they did add some vanilla like numbers to like change the radius that it checks for players. So we'll see there. Fairy bow. No. Another ingot from Nether Quartz. I talked about that earlier, Tactiles. We'll see what we can do for map number 4, but it won't be a thing for this map. Yes, Rob has arrived, but we were just about wrapping up. Updates to Science Shop. Nothing really planned for at least the start of number 4 there, Mr. Zeman. Any changes to IS grinding being profitable? We are looking into like the sell prices of non-IS fishing. Like, of course, fishing is the meta for sell prices, but we're looking into like the prices for like farming crops, of slaying drops, whatnot, because those were nerfed a little bit too much going into this map. There will be some changes to that. Custom mob models, not for map number 4. Definitely something we'd like to look into. I'll have to wait and see, Ritzy. Plans to have more permanent things like G-Kit, Top Plus, not like permanent pay-to-win things like that for right now. So random. Mario, you need to make a bug report on that if that's actually a thing. Changes to recipes, potentially. We'll see. Yeah, we'll leak some stuff with Cosmic Favors as soon as we have like something nice to leak, I'd say. Still in the works. All right, well, that's gonna about wrap it up, guys. So I appreciate everyone hopping in. Hopefully we'll see if we're gonna schedule another one of these before the start of the map number 4, but if not, that first week of map number 4 should definitely have a Q&A sometime within that week, so keep an eye out for that. But appreciate everyone hopping in, appreciate all the good questions. And yeah, we got rep points happening this Friday. Make sure you're there, 12 p.m. CST. And then server closes on Monday or Sunday the 2nd. We open back up Friday the 7th.